I think in life everything is just things are reflections. For work, or like if you're happy, it means that you're doing something else that makes you happy, or so. So in a case, this space would match what I would be doing, whatever kind of life, whether creative or not, and this sort of like freedom. Like for me, a loft represents a lot of like freedom. You just dialogue and you walk around it in whichever way you want without much structure. Again, design is strange because this kind of forms already exist, and we were just like repurposing, being inspired by like the beauty that you already can find outside in a way, and then you digest things and then you just like create something with it. You like, what do you make with it? Then to be more curious, it's almost like an exercise that it's already out there, everything already exists. The way you take it, then you give it your own meaning, and then it just becomes that sort of moment that almost feels like a dance. That's why I've always been like attracted to these like open spaces, like big ceiling, big windows.
And you went from this separation of work being at a studio, and then you would come home and you would be in a different space, right? So was this the first time that you kind of blended the two worlds between?
Yes, and it wasn't easy.
When you think about the work that you do at Studio Savvy,
yes,
what does the process look like, and how does it actually begin in this space?
We just sit around the table, and the whole idea is that even though every person has their own project, like we just share, and you're constantly like listening to one is doing something with a fashion brand, the other one is doing a hotel, the other one with like doing working for an artist. Instead of being distractive, it's almost like, oh, so you're getting that information. Maybe I need it also for my project or the other one, because I think it's all culture if you think about it. We constantly have like books, materials, like paint one of the art bookshelves, and then the other one has like more like magazine design, and then the other one other references, like more like institutional museum books. The books that are on the table is like what informs what we're working at the time. It's kind of funny, like maybe you look at this book like 2 years ago, and suddenly it's back on the table, and then you get curious about it.
And I imagine you're pulling out, like, for one project you might be looking at one reference in the book, but then, you know, like you said, 2 years later, maybe you pull out the book and it's a totally different reference that you're
using. Formulating like the substance, or finding the substance of it. I think substance is one of my favorite like things to say that we're trying to create here.
Yeah.
Like substance and culture. How does that come to materialize it visually as well, and
right,
like, and physically, and then we just start to work with these different boards. And again, they're for us like to see in the project,
right,
and in the computer it looks great, but then when it goes out to the world, it was like not as great.
Yeah.
So finding a way between like something very corporate as the IBM, and then something as emotional, and creating a system.
Would you say a fashion brand, an artist, an interior, would you say that that's all approached the same way as like starting with research?
Yes, definitely, because it's the same, like it just has different like layers and levels. But for example, proper, that is more like the commercial project, but it's all about like the culture of hospitality, the culture of like the cities that they have a property in, and how can we create a brand that dialogues with like all these different properties. I've never tried to build an agency. Savvy has never been trying to be an agency and provide like that sort of services. It has always been like a bit on the side, and a bit personal, and a bit emotional to an extent. So I figure when you're working with someone, collaborating with a client, they also appreciate like the capacity and see it more as the dream of like an artist studio, right? An artist could be painting, could be doing a sculpture, but he lives there, and it was also kind of like attractive to me.
And it's a space then that kind of melds to not just where the clients you're working with, but like where you're at in your life too. Whether you're doing furniture or you're making chocolates, like the space then kind of can flow.
I think that's true. I get very easily distracted. Like that's why I guess I make like different things in my life. Like between one thing is the studio, and then one thing is like my personal practice as a doing like objects and furniture, and then or like making the lights with glue, or like the selection of things. And sometimes I'm just working on something, and then I stand up and I want to make this something with chocolate that I know it will like happen for a project, and then I just go in and make it, and then I go back to the table and like keep working on something, and I just constantly need to move.
I feel like it's really impressive that you call yourself someone that gets distracted really easily, because I think you do so many different things and you do them all so well and with so much thought and intention. It's really easy to get distracted and just move on from one thing to the next, and it doesn't seem like you're someone that gets easily distracted, but maybe that's like where the actual art
I'm so distracted.
comes to life. I feel like there's this feeling when you work for yourself of there's nothing that I have to do today, but there's like a million things that I could do today, right? Especially I think when you are multidisciplinary.
For me with the studio, I feel like constantly is putting thoughts together into one concept and then just materializing it in that sense. And when it's like more like a piece of furniture or a table, it's just like creating an object, which was very important for me because for a while I was just very like mental, like I was not making many things like objects and things with my hands. Like for years it was just all this creativity, all savvy branding concepts, and then suddenly I started to be more curious. It's a mix between like I'm mental in one place and then I have to leave the desk and then go and make something with my hands and then come back and then sit for a second, read something and then...
Do you design for thinking about your own space and things that you would want to live with?
I feel comfortable with these pieces and I just think about what I could be attracted to and that I would relate to, and then if someone likes it, then we relate. Especially in this area that is not savvy, that is meant to actually be like much more personal. I think it's extremely gratifying. I would be lying like when someone really likes it and you think, oh my God, you like what I like, it's great. Like, and you want this piece that I made, also is in your place. That's amazing. Like, it's really, like, I think it's one of the most special things. I think that's the language of different pieces. Just playing with this, and then we made recently this chair.
What is this? That is made out of?
Yeah, it's silicone rubber. So this actually has like a leather cover here.
Yeah.
This is the first, like when we were working on it and working on the form. And this is a back, like this is like a human back.
Right.
And it's just like the idea of like sitting against someone's back, but at the same time, it's like what I'm saying, like these forms exist.
Yeah.
Just like repurpose them.
It has
this
a
is
bit
a
of
little bit
like
more
humor.
literal. Huh?
It has like some humor to it.
It was meant to be, all of it. Yeah, definitely. And it's comfortable, sit.
Okay.
Like it's not
Finally
the most comfortable what you would have.
Because it'll have the, but it's like nice
because
because
it does something to your back, like it's kind of
ergonomic.
like it stretches it. Yeah.
It could work here.
It doesn't.
So is this modeled after someone's actual back?
Yeah.
Whose back is it?
Mine.
There you go.
This is
so if you custom make one, could it be modeled after your back, like the person's back, if they order one?
That's not mainly the purpose, but it could happen. But that's not. It's not like
that's
back
not
to order.
That's not the point. That's not the point.
Back to order.
Back to order.
Yeah. No, but yeah, it maybe it could happen. Since a kid, I just loved chocolate. Like, through the years, I just like got interested in conquering this thing that would give me such pleasure.
I'm curious, what inspires the different formats? You have the classic bars, but then there's also the dominoes, the collaboration with Gohar World.
I think they're different. I mean, for me, like we have these guys that are like these batons that I almost like, it feels like a Twix. And then the dominoes, it was more like this game about, I think the deliciousness of like you could play domino, and I think when I was a kid, I used to see these like pieces and think they're so pretty, white and black, and then suddenly you can just sort of like eat them. The whole set is there, so you can almost like play.
So you can play and eat.
You could play if you want to.
Pure game and pleasure.
Yeah. And then with Layla, we did this like cute little hand. She's very into like lace things, so it's chocolate lace hand. Like
it's like
she had
so
this
beautiful,
lace
you don't want to eat it.
Like I really love this book, and it really like it's a book that he had, The Wings of the Dove. I went online, looked everywhere, and then I wanted to really find like kind of like the edition that he had, and then I finally then I found it, and then I casted it. Then here it's hard to read, but you can see it. And then there's a collection with artists. I worked with Harold Ankar. This was like at the opening of the Whitney. We did one with Tiffany that has like these specific salt flakes. So when you open it, it really reflects light. Diamond weird thing in the chocolate. Or like this is a wallet, or like these globes.
These are insane.
I just thought the impression of just like memories and things that you can actually eat, in the sense of just the way we feed ourselves with like memories and thoughts, and they make us feel good sometimes, and I think chocolate does that.
Yeah, it's a very like visceral feeling too.
Yeah, exactly. I want you to feel like you're there if you're eating this bar. So it's this constant movement and just like the way things change that I love. I love novelty. and then I have to walk around and go to one of the galleries and then just see something and then come back.
And then like design something based off of something that, you know,
and sometimes it's not
seen.
like instant
Right.
like that. It's just more like I just can get my head.
You're like it's like
into
collection,
something.
right?
Yeah.
You're like researching, you're like collecting, you process, and then
Then suddenly the thought just come to mind, and I just would sit and say, "This is
Yeah.
what we should do." Or for example, we're opening a guest house in Mexico, Pension.
Yes.
We want to open in September, October, so
okay.
we're
Very soon.
definitely happening.
Well, you already have 3 rooms, right?
We already have 3 rooms. There's a house where like we have the bookstore, Casa Bosques, the atelier for the chocolate, and then there's a perfume store and our studio, and 3 rooms above. Now 8 rooms, and then a cafeteria, like all day cafe.
It feels like it goes back to
But-
the same, like the vision of this space, right? Like you just had a vision of this space and then life unfolded to get there.
Yes,
It seems
yes.
kind of serendipitous that space just became available.
I was not even chasing it. It just happened.
For the first year of the guest house, it was like secret.
It's like you would have to know to a person, and then we just get an email, and it was super charming. Like people really would write and explain like what they do and why. We were kind of like figuring out. It's not that I was born knowing how to operate a guest
Right.
house. I'm not into like this is it. Like this is the experience 1 to 100, and like I mapped it all, and this is the way you should have it. I think things build. Even with the chocolate and many things that I do, it's just like they get slowly like figured out like the way this thing will be itself as well, which I think is important when you go to a place. I could hear these things, and it all happens in one place. And it's fine. Like I'm happy with each of the elements in the way they happen. It's life.